Hello, Africa! Welcome to the Africa Desk Live. This platform was built for you. Not for governments, donors, or foreign interests, but for you, the African citizen who loves this continent, even when it breaks your heart. And here is your host, Semantics King Jr.
Good morning. Welcome to the Africa Desk Live. Today is August 29th, 2026, and this is episode 15, Burkina Faso. We are discussing the country in Africa right now that is really trending in some parts of Africa. It is a country that has lots of supporters, especially of its current head of state, and lots of people are monitoring, including foreign interest organization and countries. They are monitoring, they're watching what is happening, what is unfolding in Burkina Faso right now. So we would like to say welcome to this particular episode 15 of 54 Conversations. We do this every week. Every Saturday we come here with or without a guest to discuss and talk about Africa and the people of African origin, wherever they may be living across this world. We make all attempts to reach out and have them involved in the conversation. So welcome to 54 Conversations. This is episode 15. Now, June 2024, Ouagadougou. 10 armed men in plainclothes walk into a house. They take a newspaper editor out of it. His name is Atiana Serge Olong. He runs a paper called L'Evénement. The government said he had been conscripted and sent to the front. 2 years later, nobody has seen him. And the front turned out to be a villa in the capital, directly across the road from the American embassy. Good morning. Like I mentioned on the outset, my name is Semantics King, and this is the Africa Desk Live. Let me add that this is the Africa Desk Live. This is episode 15 of 54 Conversations. One African country a week until we've done all 54. Yes, today we are in Burkina Faso. We are in Burkina Faso. And like I mentioned, it's an interesting country. The name means the land of upright people. Thomas Sankara gave it that name in 1984. But I like to say, hold on to that name. Okay, hold on to that name, because every thing we're going to be talking in this hour, everything in this hour is going to be asking whether that still fits the land of the upright people. Does that still fit? Does that still count? Hold on to that name. One thing up front, I have no guest today, and I'm going to be telling you why. That's not a booking failure. In 25 minutes, I will tell you the reason, and the reason is part of the story. But first, we owe you something. We owe you some corrections at this hour. We owe you some corrections because what we do on this show is that when we get something right, it's fine. When we get them wrong, we want to make sure we correct those things that are wrong. But I'm going to go into the corrections. Okay, we are going to start with the corrections, and Last week, uh, yeah, that's the land of upright people. That is the land of upright people. But before we can actually go into in-depth discussions on um, Burkina Faso, like I mentioned from the onset, we owe you something and we want to be able to discuss those things that we owe you. And here's one of them. Okay. Um, Last week, when we did Ethiopia, we got a few things wrong, actually five of them. And here are all five in the order we said them on air. Okay. The reason we are emphasizing this is that we have a monthly newsletter, we call it the Desk Dispatch, and we send out the dispatch every month. Okay, so we have sent out the June edition as well as the July edition. The third edition, which is going to be the August edition, going to include these corrections in them. And we want to be able to make this consistent to ensure that these corrections live somewhere permanent, not just in the live stream. We read these corrections at the top of the broadcast. We do not want to bury them at the end. A correction nobody hears isn't a correction. So going forward, if you hear something here on the show that you think is wrong, send us an email. The Africa Desk Live at More Media Empowerment.org is our address. Get us the the information that you think is wrong, and then we will definitely um, make those corrections. So we had some of those things that were wrong, and you can see on the screen there. We had indicated that Ethiopia's House of Representatives had 548 seats. Later on in the same hour, we said 546. And I said the governing party did not win a majority. So that was a mistake. The correct information is that the House of Representatives has 547 seats. The Prosperity Party won 438 of the 501 seats actually contested, well past the 274 needed. So it did win a majority indeed. The second was, we said in Oromia, the governing party won 177 of the 173 declared seats. The correct version is 167 of the 173 seats. You cannot win more seats than were declared. And then we also had, I had indicated on air that President Abiy Ahmed, well, the correct version is that Ethiopia does not, well, Abiy Ahmed is not the president, he's the prime minister. Ethiopia has a separate presidency. Okay, there is someone who has that role, is much more um, it's much more of a position. It's not much, it's not involved into any politics or something like that. But again, Abiy Ahmed is the prime minister, it's not the president. The presidency is much more ceremonial. I also indicated that Cote d'Ivoire took independence on August 17th, and of the 8 countries on the August 1960 list, 7 left the same empire. The correct version is that Cote d'Ivoire had independence on August 7th, not the 17th. Gabon is August the 17th. And all 8 left France. That's 7. And the final one, We also indicated that the Center for Strategic Studies and International Studies, well, we the correct version should have been the Center for Strategic and International Studies, CSIS. And those were the corrections that we wanted to make, and ensure that these reported into our archive, into our newsletter on a weekly basis. So those were the corrections. Yes, those were the corrections. Now we are going to go, as you know, we go and call the roll for countries that are observing independence. We do not have any particular country today, but because of the historic nature of Francophone Africa, we are going to repeat this roll call again for this month. This month has been particularly interesting on the continent because of these countries in 1 month. So we go to in 1960 August. Look at that list. Look at that list. 1960 August. In 17 days, 8 African states walk out of the French Empire. The first was Dahomey. Now it's called Benin. That happened on August the 1st. And then August the 3rd was Niger. Okay, August the 5th was Upper Volta. That is Burkina Faso, the country we're discussing today. 66 years ago this month, Burkina Faso gained independence. The seventh country, the other country was August the 7th, and that's Cote d'Ivoire. Okay, and then August 11th is Chad. August 13th is the Central African Republic. It used to be known then as Obangu Chari. All right, I may say that wrong. I don't speak French, so I may say that wrong. But the translation that we know today is Central African Republic right now. And then on August the 15th is the Middle Congo, the Republic of the Congo now. It used to be known Middle Congo, And then August 17th is Gabon. Yes, August 17th is Gabon. Okay, 8 countries, 1 month. All 8 countries gain independence in 1 month, and that month is August. This year, August has been that month that all of these Francophone countries gain independence from one colonial power. One colonial power, letting go of a whole block at once on a schedule that suited the bloc, not the countries. Remember that calendar. When a Sahelian government today calls sovereignty unfinished business, that calendar is what it is pointing at. Independence arrived in 1960 as an administrative event. Whether it arrived as a fact is the argument still running today. And of those 8 countries, 3 are run by soldiers today: Burkina Faso, Niger, and Mali. All 3 came in by coup d'etat. All 3 quit ECOWAS together. All 3 formed their own alliance. That's not a coincidence. And it's not a coup contagion story either. It's one of the questions this hour is about. Good. But before we can get into discussing Burkina Faso, I know Burkina Faso is a country that is trending right now, not just on the continent of Africa, but around the world. There are lots of people around the world who are supporting what the captain is doing. But there are also others who are looking at the country and the leadership with some skepticism and some, some uncertainty. We're going to talk about that later. Okay. Now we move on to our other segment called Around Africa. And for around Africa today, we have 6 stories, every one source. The sources are on your screen, as you can see there. Zambia, we start with that country. Okay. In Zambia, Hakindi Hakindi Hichilema has been re-elected, but with noticeably less support than last time. CNBC Africa reports the reason is the cost of living. Watch that one. Keep an eye on Zambia. An incumbent who wins while food prices are the story usually has a harder second term than the first term. So watch that. In the Republic of Guinea, at least 30 people are dead in Conakry, which is the capital city. A mountain of rubble at the main landfill collapsed onto homes before dawn after a night of heavy rain in the Basia community. Reuters and the Al Jazeera news agencies reported it on Sunday. Residents say they had warned about that mound. The same site collapsed once before in 2017. And to Nigeria, President Tinubu has ordered a manhunt. Gunmen attacked 4 villages in Niger State, and more than 40 people were reported dead. Mass abductions were also reported, according to the All Africa News reporting. Local officials suggest the number taken may be even higher than what is reported. And I want to be very careful there. The confirmed number and the feared number are 2 different numbers. I'm not going to blur them. And then we move on to the Democratic Republic of the Congo. Yes, the Democratic Republic of the Congo. The first ceasefire inspectors have reached Minimway. That's 9 months after the Doha Framework Agreement was signed last November. 9 months from its signature to one monitor standing in place behind monitored. Hold that thought. Hold onto that, because DR Congo has its own episode that is going to be coming up next week. And I'm going to talk more about that when we get to that segment. Okay. And then we also want to move on to Tanzania. Julius Nyerere hydro plant opened on Saturday. About 2,100 megawatts. It was built by an Egyptian consortium. Cost is nearly $3 billion. It now supplies roughly half of Tanzania's electricity. An African country, look into this and sit for a while and think about this. An African country built the biggest piece of infrastructure in another African country. That's a shift, and we need to name it. We need to name that. And across West Africa, Interpol reports Interpol reports that 58 people have been arrested in 22 countries. The reason? They're targeting West African cybercrime and romance scam networks. Yeah. Yes. I will say the part that usually goes unsaid. Those networks are real. So is the habit of treating every West African online as a suspect. Both things are true. So you have an internet, you have a social media account, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, any social media account that you may have. Please be aware that there are scammers on the internet, especially so from West Africa. They pretend to be women in search of love or romance, or they even pretend to be men looking for women, and they are looking for romance and love, when the reality is that's not the case. They are looking and finding ways through which they can scam you, through whatever means possible. So be very, very careful about that. Yes. And uh, yes, that is what we had on the independence roll call. Now let's turn to Burkina Faso. But yes, let's turn to Burkina Faso. Let's turn to Burkina Faso. Yes, let's discuss that now. The reason I want us to turn to Burkina Faso is because we alluded to this in our opening lines about how Burkina Faso is the land of upright people. And the question raised was, can we still say that today, despite what has been happening in that country? 22 million people. It's a landlocked country that produces gold and cotton. And for 4 years now, the most talked about country on the continent, Burkina Faso. It is the most talked about country on the continent right now. Why? Well, because of one 38-year-old army captain called Ibrahim Touareg. Yes, a young man, 38 years old. If you've been anywhere near African social media, you know the version that travels. Touareg is in fatigues. He's refusing the French. He's the second coming of Sankara. That version is enormously popular, that he is the incarnation of Thomas Sankara. And it is not entirely wrong. There is another version. In that one, journalists get taken out of their homes at night. That one is not a wrong one either. This hour is about holding both of those at once. That's harder than picking one. It's also the whole reason this program exists, and we're going to be talking about that. Okay, definitely going to be talking about that today on the program. If you're just joining us, this is the Africa Desk. Please let us know in the comment where you're joining us from. Later on in the second hour, we're going to be having a guest and we're going to be discussing community development. So stay with us. Let's discuss Cote d'Ivoire, not Cote d'Ivoire, sorry. Let's discuss Burkina Faso in numbers. First, you cannot argue about a place you cannot see. Burkina Faso gained independence, like we mentioned, August the 5th, 1960, known then as Upper Volta. Gained that independence from France. Yes. It was renamed to Burkina Faso by Thomas Sankara in 1984. He is the current head of state of that country. He's been in power since September 2022. He has told the world and Burkinabés that elections going to happen next, but not until July in 2029. Remember, this guy came into power in 2022. He's been an unelected official, been there since 2022. And he's promising elections in 2029. Look at the time frame here. From 2022, we are in 2026, no elections. He's there. And his supporters love it. They say he's doing the right thing. He should stay in power. They love it. His opponents are questioning the legality of that. Should he be in power as a military leader for more than 4 years without elections? Well, it is for the people of Burkina Faso to determine. From the look of things, there are some who really admire what he's doing. There are those who do not. That's the essence of the show today here. In 2024, the transition was extended by 5 years. But here's what I want you to think through and look through as we discuss this country. He dissolved all political parties. How can you be preparing for elections when you have dissolved all political parties? Not just that, he also dissolved all civil society organizations. See that? You dissolve the political parties, then you say, let's push elections to 2029. You dissolve all civil society organizations. People from Burkina Faso, about 2 million of them were internally displaced. That is according to the Institute for Security Studies. They counted the number of people. Those last three lines are why we are doing this episode carefully here. We understand the euphoria around his assumption of authority in that country. We understand the admiration he's gaining continuously from lots and lots of Africans on the continent and abroad. We understand all of that. There's no question about it. No question about it. But again, let's look into here. Look into this here. When you take a long view of Burkina Faso, you need some history here. As much as people are admiring what he's doing and other people are not admiring what he's doing, let's take a long view history of Burkina Faso. If we don't, none of it will make sense to us. But if we take a long view of Burkina Faso at this point, perhaps it may make some sense to us. Before there was an upper voter, there was the Marsi states, I must add. The Marsi kingdoms held of conquest for centuries, including by the Songhai and Mali empires. That matters. France did not assemble this country out of nothing. There was an old self-governing political order that existed there first before the French came in. We want you to understand that history. And the Mogonaba, the Morsi ruler, is still a figure in Ouagadougou today. Then France took it and called it the upper voter. Then in 1932, France dissolved the whole colony, parceled it out to the neighbors rather, for administrative convenience. And 15 years later, France put it back together. Let that sit with you for a moment here. We're talking about Burkina Faso, a country abolished on paper for 15 years by people who had never been there before. Why? Because it was tidier, it was clean. Then the country gained independence in 1960. Then in 1983, Thomas Sankara takes power. He is only 33 years old. Sounds familiar? Captain Touari, 38. Thomas Sankara, 33. Thomas Sankara gets 4 years to lead the country. In 4 years, look at what he did here. We want to do some comparison here. Take the fact into consideration here. Let's go through. Thomas Sankara took over. He was 33 years old. He gets 4 years. We can look at the parallel here and see. Captain Touari took power 38 years. He was 38 years old. He's still there. Let's look at what Thomas Sankara did when he took over in 4 years. He vaccinated 2.5 million children. 2.5 million children. He vaccinated them. He planted 10 million trees in the country. Not just that, he banned forced marriage, because there were forced marriages happening in the country. He banned all of that. Not just that, he banned female genital mutilation, which is a practice across Africa. Look at the thing he's done. Vaccinated 2.5 million children, planted 10 million trees, banned forced marriages, banned female genital mutilation. And then what did he do? He puts women in his cabinet at a scale nobody else in Africa is doing right now. That's Thomas Sankara. He sells off the government's Mercedes fleet and makes the Renault 5 the official state car in Burkina Faso. That is what the former president Thomas Sankara did. And then he renames the country the land of the upright people, the land of upright people. Look at the good thing he's done. Who wouldn't want those things? Who wouldn't even want to praise him for doing these things? He did all of those things in 4 years. Thomas Sankara, in 4 years, did all those things. I'm going to repeat them. He vaccinated 2.5 million children. Thomas Sankara. He planted 10 million trees in the country. He banned forced marriage. He banned female genital mutilation. Then what did he do? He puts women in his cabinet at a scale nobody else in Africa is doing right now. Then he sells off the government's Mercedes fleet and makes the Renault 5 the official state car. And then on top of that, adding the icing on the cake, he renamed the country the land of upright people. That is Thomas Sankara. That is what he did. He also ruled, and in comparison here, he also ruled without elections. Sounds familiar? Not just that. Thomas Sankara, he jailed his opponents. If you oppose the thing he's doing, if you speak against the thing he's doing, he jails you. Do you see the parallel here in Burkina Faso right now with what Captain Ibrahim Traore is doing? Thomas Sankara ran a revolutionary defense committee that people feared. Yes, if you do not fear the committee, then you do not live in Burkina Faso under Thomas Sankara. So he did all of those good things. But in the midst of doing those good things, there were things he also did that were not, from an observer point of view, that were not really good. How can you rule that there should be no elections? Then you jail your opponents if they say anything against you or against the country, and then you set up a revolutionary defense committee that can do anything to anyone. That is what happened in Burkina Faso when Thomas Sankara took over as military leader. 66 years. Then in October 1987, Thomas Sankara is assassinated. After doing all those good things, and then some of the things that were not so good, he is assassinated. And guess what happened? His closest friend, we have a Liberian song that says, "Find a friend like me." If you do not want betrayal, find a friend like me. Here is the friend of Thomas Sankara, Blaise Compaoré. That's Thomas Sankara's closest friend. He takes over power after Sankara is assassinated. Blaise Compaoré holds it for 27 good years. Yes, 27 good years. This guy is in power. This guy who is the best friend, the closest friend of Thomas Sankara, take over. He ruled for 27 years until a popular uprising throws him out in 2014. Blaise Compaoré. I heard this guy's name so many times during the Liberian Civil War. And then in 2022, 2 coup d'etats in 8 months. There is Damiba in January, and then there is Touareg in September. And the last 2 dates on that timeline is important. And I want us to think about those last 2 dates. 2024, transition extended to 2029. By who? Current Captain Touareg. He dissolved all political parties. 2026, this year, the popular TV program, TV5 Mondial was banned. Around 200 civil society organizations also dissolved under Captain Touareg. 8 heads of state removed by force since 1960. That is Burkina Faso for you. 8 heads of state removed by force since the country gained independence in 1960. That's the pattern this government inherited. The Touareg government inherited a pattern. The Touareg government inherited a behavioral pattern for a country that was founded in 1960. It's also the pattern it is now a part of. Now you understand the story, the history. You see the events, how they line up here. You can see there. Now let's get to the real issue now today. Now, having given you the history, having told you what happened before Touareg took over, having given you what happened after he took over, now let's get into it. Why? I do not have a guest. The chair is empty. And that is the story for today. This chair is empty. Okay? Let me give you an explanation that I promised you when the broadcast started today. I'm going to give you an explanation as to why this chair is empty, and you can formulate your own judgment. It doesn't really matter to us if you are a supporter of Captain Touareg or you are not a supporter of him. We on the show do not support or are against any government, local, national, or international. All what we do here is we ask the questions. We bring the guests to the show for them to discuss. So let's make that clear. This program runs 1 hour with 2 guests. We have made this mandatory as an exception that we have 1 woman and 1 man every week without exception. Today, there is none. There is none. And we have done some other, I wouldn't call it investigation, but some other research. And we have experienced most of this with the Francophone countries we are covering. They are part of Africa. They are our brothers and sisters, fathers and uncles and aunties and children. So we cannot leave them out. They are French speaking. Yes, we do not speak French, and majority of our audiences here, whether live or later, English watchers, but we want to include the French ones as well because they are all Africans as well. And we'll get to that later. Okay. Every week we bring 2 guests, a woman and a man without exception. Today there is none. And I'm going to tell you exactly why. We will rather let you know than don't tell you at all. I'm going to tell you now. Every week, our first choice is a voice from inside the country that we are discussing. Like, for instance, today, Burkina Faso. So obviously, based on our rule, we go to Burkina Faso, make research. We go to universities and organizations to look for guests, that will come to the show um, on Saturday. We do that every week. We look for local voices because we want the local voices to tell the story of Africa. For Burkina Faso, we couldn't do that. Not because nobody want to talk to us, but because of what talking to us could cost them. Yes. We are about to spend 20 minutes on the record of what happens to Burkinabe journalists, the Burkinabe journalists who report on their own government. It would be obscene to lay that out and then, in the same hour, ask a journalist in Ouagadougou to come on a live international broadcast and comment on that particular incident that is happening in the country. It wouldn't look good, right? That's not courage. That's me spending someone else's safety to make my show better. And that's not the goal of the show. So we went outside the country. When we look in the country for guests to come to the show, we realized that that was not possible. We didn't want to risk anyone's lives. So we went outside of the country. We invited scholars. I wouldn't want to call names here because that is not what we do. We do not call people's names here. But we reach out to Oxford University. We reach out to other universities, and we even reach out to one university in the Gulf. Neither could do a Saturday on notice that we give them. And that's our fault, not theirs. We send those invitations out about a week or two, about a week, a few days in between there, right? Yeah. So we realize that a week is not a serious time frame you give to an academic. Remember, these are professors who are making research in the various areas, and so they are very busy. So we have changed our rule because of that. From now on, what we do is we send out invitations. We try to reach out to these scholars a month in advance. We've already started doing that with other episodes for Tanzania, Cape Verde, Egypt, Uganda, and all these other countries. We've already started doing that. So the chair is empty. It's empty because we asked the government and the government didn't answer. It's empty because we would not put someone inside Burkina Faso at risk. It's empty because we ask other people who are not in the country relatively too late for them to come to the show, right? And that's the whole reason. There's no fourth reason. We'll leave those with you. That's why the chair is empty. But here is something else that we want you to be aware of. Okay? We want you to be aware of this. Before we go into reporting, you should know what we did and what happened. On August the 22nd, we wrote to the Minister of Communication of Burkina Faso. That is the communication arm of the government, right? And then he's also the spokesperson for the government. So what we did was we copied the Burkinabe embassy in Washington, D.C. And listen to this. We wrote those letters in French, not in English. We wrote those letters, we addressed those letters in French to the spokesperson for the Burkinabe government, as well as the Burkina embassy in Washington, D.C. It laid out point by point everything we intended to broadcast today about the treatment of journalists in Burkina Faso, and it asked 6 direct questions to the government. We told the minister this, that whatever he sends us, we will read it on air in full, unaltered. French or English, however long it is, we will read that on air to our audience. We gave him until noon GMT on Wednesday, August the 26th. That deadline has passed. We received no response. And we are not going to tell you what that silence means because we don't know. Okay? But what we can tell you is that we are not alone. Yes, we are not alone. We are not alone in what we did. The Reporters Without Borders say it put its findings to the Burkinabe government in similar fashion that we did, and they got no reply. They say that the Minister of Communication did not answer them after the requested response. Not just the Reporters Without Borders, but the Ghanaian broadcaster, a Ghanaian broadcaster reported the same thing. They approached the ministry in Ouagadougou and the Burkina embassy in Accra. Nothing came back. The offer we made in that letter still stands today. It does not expire today. The program runs a right of reply edition, a full broadcast. One government representative, the only guest answering at length. We send that invitation out as an open invitation to every government on the continent of Africa. Yes. We send it to you. You come if you need to respond to something you heard on the air that we talk about, or you need to respond to certain things. We bring you. We give you a full hour to respond to that. It's an open invitation. It doesn't expire. One more thing, and then we'll move on. Our first hour does not sit serving government officials. We do not do that. That's the standing editorial rule we have made for ourselves. And that's why we ask for comment and not an interview. It is not a judgment about anyone or any country or any government. That's what we do. Okay? And here's what we're reporting. And here's where it comes from right now. The things we've been telling you about. Let's go to that and let you see what we're talking about. And this has to do with basically press freedom. 3 names. We want you to look up there on the screen. 3 names. 3 wonderful names. Etienne Serge Olong. He is the publication director of L'Événement, one of the country's serious newspapers. He built his name investigating corruption inside the security forces. June 24th, 2024, armed men claiming to be intelligence agents take him from his home in Ouagadougou. He is 40 years old. The following month, President Touari acknowledges a journalist has been arrested for spreading falsehood. That was understood to be Olong. The government later confirms it. Olong and other journalists have been conscripted into armed forces, sent to the front in the official phrase. Can you imagine that? If you report something on the government comes and arrests you, comes and takes you as a journalist, and then sends you to the battlefield, send you to the battlefront to go and fight. Well, whether to fight or to collect report down there. But the point is, when you report anything about the government, what the Burkinabe government is doing is that it comes and takes you as a journalist or reporter and send you to the battlefront, send you to the front lines where the war is happening. And say, go and report from the front line. Can you imagine that? May 6th this year, Reporters Without Borders publishes an investigation that says otherwise. Reporters Without Borders says Olong never left Ouagadougou, that he was held at least until the end of last year in villas in Ouaga 2000 district, directly opposite the United States Embassy. Villas converted into unofficial prisons. Former detainees told the Reporters Without Borders that they slept on bare floors, drank water from toilets, that they have been beaten with ropes and tree branches. Reporters Without Borders says that up to 40 people were held in that same place, and it says a security officer close to Touari personally warned detainees on release not to speak. Reporters Without Borders put all of that to the government, and the government did not respond. On June the 22nd this year, the second anniversary, Amnesty International, Human Rights Watch, Reporters Without Borders, Observer, and the FIDH and OMCT Observatory issue a joint statement. All these organizations, local and international, they demanded that the authorities account for this guy, this reporter that was unknown. Today, his location is still unknown. And then Adama Bela, you know, Adama Bela, Alan Twari, two more journalists disappeared in the same period. There is no public account of where they are or under what authority they are held. I'm naming them because unnamed people are easy to forget. And because we asked the government about both of them by name last Friday and nothing came back. And I want to tell you plainly why this is our story. Not only this, I was a journalist in Liberia and in Ghana. Okay. Started human rights newspaper in a refugee camp. There is a version of my life where I am the one in that particular villa. And somebody in another somebody in another country decides whether my name is worth saying out loud. Definitely. This is why this is so important. This is why it is so important for us. And we talk about this as an institution. We talk about this most of the time. We want you to be aware about what is happening in Burkina Faso. Okay, now let's wrap this up because we have our guest for the second hour already in the studio. This isn't only about three journalists. Look at what closed and when. Political parties dissolved, all of them, banned from operating. Civil society dissolved, around 200 of them. These civil society organizations and these associations, they all dissolved in this year under Captain Twari. TV5 banned May 5th. The government cited disinformation and apology for terrorism. Media workers, reporters without borders counted 6 conscripted inside a single year. That includes journalists who reappeared in military uniform in videos after periods of unexplained absence. And this last one is the one I kept coming back to. The Prime Minister's own half-year report on the government's 2026 objectives. Among the main actions of the communication sector, it lists this: implementation of a war communication strategy involving public and private media. That is not a leak. That is not an allegation from an outside group. That is a government describing its own media policy in its own document. A war communication strategy involving private media, which raises the question we put to the minister in writing. It is still unanswered. What does that strategy require of a private newspaper? And what happens to one that declines? Now, the context, and it is real. Burkina Faso is fighting an insurgency. Thousands are dead. Around 2 million people were displaced. The Institute for Security Studies found that deaths from militant Islamic violence have nearly tripled compared with 18 months before the 2022 coup d'etat. Any government in that position will argue that wartime requires information control. No dispute about it, because Burkina Faso is having a war going on. There's no question about it that they should be able to control information. That argument deserves hearing. That's exactly why we asked the government in writing to come and tell us. And we would have read the full response in detail to you, our audience. Now, to the question that I raised in the onset of the show, that is Captain Twari an inheritance of Thomas Sankara, or is he a costume? That is the question we have been walking towards from the beginning of the show, the hour today till now. Ibrahim Traore invokes Thomas Sankara constantly. Is that an inheritance or is it a costume? Like I asked, let me make the strongest case for inheritance here. The strongest case, not a straw man. Traore took power in a country that had lost control of most of its own territory. He expelled the French troops. He has pushed a sovereignty argument that a great many Africans, well beyond Burkina Faso, find true and overdue. His government says the army recovered close to 75% of national territory by the end of last year. In March, it launched a national development plan, around $64 billion, 2026 to 2030, funded substantially from domestic revenue and state enterprises, not donors. He declared full self-sufficiency for last year. He has survived what the government described as repeated coup attempt and assassination plots against him. He has, and he is only 38 years old, speaking to a continent where the median age is 19, where most heads of state are old enough to be their grandparents. Those figures come from the government. I'm telling you that so you can weigh them as government figures. Those are not independent, those are not figures that have been presented to the world by independent agencies. But the argument is serious. Dismissing it as propaganda is laziness. Now, the case for costume. Sankara's revolution was, whatever else it was, a mass participation, committees, literacy campaigns, vaccination drives, women in offices, people organized into, into leadership. The current administration, the current arrangement runs the other way. Parties are dissolved, associations dissolved, elections pushed to 2029, journalists conscripted, and the war communication strategy written into a government work plan. And here is the sharpest version of it. Sankara's most quoted line is that it takes a certain amount of madness to change things. He says something else that gets left out. He said a soldier without political education is a potential criminal. I repeat that. A soldier without political education is a potential criminal. He argued for the accountability of armed men, not their immunity. So which is it? I'm not going to tell you. And not because I'm dodging the question. I did not get a Burkinabe voice on this program today to argue either side. I'm not going to fill that silence with my own opinion and call it a conclusion, because it is not. That would be worse than the empty chair. And here's what I tell you. Here's what would settle it. Not a speech, not a hashtag. Where is Etienne Serge alone? Where is Adama Bela and Ellen Touare? Where do political parties operate again as they look up to elections that is coming up in 2029 in Burkina Faso? A government that can answer those questions, those three questions rather, is inheriting something. A government that cannot is wearing something. Okay? That's what I can tell you. If and only if you if and only if you are a government official and you want to be able to respond to us, we give you one more chance, then I will stop. To the government of Burkina Faso, the right of reply edition is real. It is one that we promise and we can keep it. It is on the table. It does not expire today. One representative, the only guest on the show that hour, that entire hour is given to you. A date of your choosing. Questions, we send them to you in advance. If you want them in advance, we send them to you in advance. Everything you send gets read in full, unaltered. That address, one more time, is the Africa Desk Live at moremediaempowerment.org. I'll say that again, the Africa Desk Live at moremediaempowerment.org. That is it. That offer is open to any government on the continent of Africa in any week of the series. Okay? That's it. And that does it for us for hour one. That's where I wanted us to land, and that's where I wanted us to lead. Now, before we flip over to the next to the next hour. You know, let's talk about this quickly before we go for a break. There's one more hour. I told you at the top that empty chair was part of the story. Now that's how I'm closing it now, you know, and then open another one. This program's job is not to like or dislike any particular government, whether local, national, or international. Our job is to ask questions. Our job is to bring people to the show to talk about it, and then to tell you honestly what come back. Today, what came back was silence. I would rather show you the silence than paper over it. Okay. Next Saturday, September 6th, we are going to be in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. It's going to be episode 16. We will pick up from the ceasefire story. Stay with us. Our tour starts right now, and it comes home. Joining us from St. Cloud momentarily is going to be the Center for African Immigrants and Refugee Organization, Cairo for short. It was founded in 2016, 4 offices, 5 counties, 2 states. They run youth programs in every middle school and high school in St. Cloud. They do housing stability work for immigrant and refugee families, and they are building affordable workforce housing on land they bought themselves. We spend 1 hour looking at Africa. In this next hour, we're going to be spending that, you know, to look at what Africans are building here in Minnesota this year. Those are the story. Okay. Well, those are the same stories, I might add, told from 2 different angles. So stay with us. We'll be right back with you. And once we come back, we'll be bringing our guests on to the show, but we will be right back with you. Stay with us. Welcome back to the Africa Desk, folks. Welcome. This is the Africa Desk live, broadcasting from the state of Minnesota in Minneapolis. So, if this is your first time joining us, we'd like to say welcome to the show. We just wrapped up hour 1. where we did not have a guest, and we explained to you the reason why. This second hour is different because we have a guest, and we're going to be bringing our guests shortly. We have them in studio. They'll be ready. We'll be ready to bring them live. But before that, before we do that, shortly here, before we do that, let me let's explain this to our audience. So we started this program in May. This is August we're into. We have made tremendous amount of progress because of you, the audience out there. Okay. And we wanted to share this information up with you. Just in a single week, the Africa Desk reached viewers in more than 30 countries across Africa, across Europe, across North America, across the Caribbean and Asia. There are countries that really watch us, some of them not really live, but they watch our content after we are off the air. And that is huge. It's really huge. And the largest audience for the show, based on the analytics we gather, is across the United States and parts of Africa in areas like Nigeria, Liberia, Ghana, and then South Africa. That is impressive. And we cannot do this without you, the audience. This is a program of more. More is the media organization for representation and empowerment. It is a nonprofit organization founded in the state of Minnesota, recognized by the Internal Revenue Services in May to be a nonprofit that is responsible for this show, to inform and educate the African immigrants across the world, as well as citizens on the continent of Africa. So it's your show. It's not for government. It's not for foreign donors. So back to the show. If you are just joining us, you have come in at the top of the second hour. The first hour belonged to Burkina Faso. This is episode 15 of 54 Conversations. I will walk through all 54 African countries, one country every week, and there are 39 more countries to go. Hour 2 is where we come home. Every week, this hour belongs to African immigrants and diaspora communities, and most weeks, that means Minnesota, because the story of Africa in this country does not only get told in Washington, D.C. and on cable news. It gets lived in St. Cloud, in Minneapolis, in Fairmont, in Brooklyn Park, in Brooklyn Center. That is the version we make room for. So my guest this hour is not here to talk about Burkina Faso, okay? I'm not going to ask him anything about Burkina Faso because he's not from Burkina Faso. Even if he were, this segment is not for Burkina Faso. He's here for something closer to the ground. In 2016, out of conversations about gaps facing African children in the Portland public schools, a group of people started an organization. In 2019, that organization came to central Minnesota, and it came because the community here asked for it. Last year, its housing program stood behind 144 families across central Minnesota. Its school program reached more than 120 students in every middle school and high school in the St. Cloud district. And it has bought 3.7 acres of land in St. Cloud to build housing for large working families because the housing that already exists was not built for them. We are live on YouTube, on Facebook, and on X. If you have a question for our guest, drop it in the chat section. We will bring that question up to him. Joining us now from from St. Cloud, I must say, is Abdi Ibrahim. He's the director of programs at the Center for African Immigrant and Refugee Organization. I would like to say, Abdi, welcome to the show. Your microphone is not on. I'm not hearing you. Yeah, there you go. You are still. Let me check one more thing here. There you go. Okay, I still cannot hear you. Yeah, I still cannot hear you. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yes.
Good. I can
Thank
hear you.
you, Semantics Junior, for inviting me into your program. I am really excited and privileged to be here on your show to talk about the great work our organization, Center for African Immigrants and Refugees Organization, does for the immigrant community in Minnesota. So, as the name suggests, we serve community members across the 54 countries from Africa, regardless of the regions where they are from. And so far, we were able to reach a significant number of countries, uh, members from Somalia, Djibouti, Ethiopia, um, South Sudan, Sudan, Gambia, Chad, Algeria, Ethiopia, Ghana, Tanzania, Sierra Leone, just to mention a few countries. So, as you suggested earlier, so we have four portfolios at Cairo. We do housing that involves rental help for people struggling with paying their rent, and also eviction, helping with eviction hearing. We partner with Mid Minnesota Legal Aid, who have housing attorneys that can represent members of the community if they meet the specific poverty guideline, the 200% poverty threshold. So our housing portfolio is open to everyone, including Native people, including other non-African people. But the agency was started to address issues facing African immigrant communities. But as you grow, you will also be able to reach out, and you will be reached to by also people with similar need as our immigrant community. So with housing, we do that, but the majority of the folks we serve are African immigrants. And in St. Cloud, I would say they are mostly from East Africa and West Africa, and a little bit of South Africans. But I think we have a significant population of African immigrants in central Minnesota. St. Cloud, I would say, has the highest per capita in terms of across the US and Canada, in terms of like immigrant people, specifically Black folks.
Wow.
There's a substantial number of immigrant communities in St. Cloud who made here to be their home, and that is because of the services they're able to receive from agencies like Cairo. So Cairo, as a social service agency, we have an open door policy. We have people moving all the way from Nebraska, Colorado, other states where maybe companies are shutting down because of all these other factors. And they come to St. Cloud because they have other people that they know. And when they come to St. Cloud, people refer them to Cairo because now they need help and access to employment. They need access to housing. They need access to navigating the local school system. So we are the first point of contact for all immigrant people, either living in St. Cloud area, and this is like a metro area. St. Cloud has like Wade Park, Sartell, Socrates, St. Joseph. There's multiple cities in St. Cloud that are part of the St. Cloud metropolitan. So we have the community trust and the local referral system. And also we have partnership with many of the local agencies here. Cairo is a member of St. Cloud Area Human Service Council, and that involves and entails many of the social service agencies locally here. So we do inter-referral. They do refer clients to us. We do refer clients whose need is outside the scope of Cairo to other agencies. So far, and in every month, we typically serve around 4,800 to 5,000 clients.
Wow. We're going to go into more detail.
40%. That's a year. And every month we serve about 400. So in a year, that would be about 4,800 to 5,000 clients that walk through Cairo doors, because we have various programs. We have like rides for the seniors. We have after school program. We have youth programs happening. We have people walking into the office for social services. And all of this, when you put together, we have an internal tracking system, kind of navigation tracking system. So we tally around 400 visits per month.
Wow, that is huge. Now you've just explain the whole program here, and we probably might have some follow-up questions for you, but thank you. That is an enormous amount of work you guys are doing. It's really great work, and this is what this hour is about, to let the people know the work that these communities are doing. And thanks to you and your team there at Cairo. Now, before we go into additional details here, when Cairo started in 2016, it was just out of conversations, and this was basically around Portland public schooling and thing. But then there was a request that was made. Do you know what that request was, and who did, what did the people really have to say that they needed? What was the request about? Because that's what I understand. What this request was about. What was the request?
Thank you, Semantics. That's a very good question. So, as you mentioned, Cairo was started in Portland, Oregon, out of community conversation, right? So there was a group of professionals who realized our immigrant students weren't doing fairly as well as other native students. And then come the question, why is there disparity in education between immigrant kids coming to the US and other kids within the state of Portland? And then they decided to ask questions, they decided to do research, they asked and interviewed parents, school educators, all the stakeholders, right? Students themselves. And then out of that conversation, they have developed a detailed report and shared that report with all the stakeholders in Portland, Oregon. And then after they shared, the bigger group said, now what next? We just can't share a report and say that is done. What can we do? And then out of that, they had Center for African Immigrants and Refugees of Oregon at that time. So they registered it as a 501c3 organization. And then in 2016, there was a statewide initiative for Black student success in Portland, Oregon. So Cairo happened to be funded for like a preschool academy. And then they went into the space program, schools, parents, and communities engaged, working within the schools to address the disparities in terms of access, in terms of language, in terms of culture, and all of that. And then Cairo's report was featured. And at that time, the executive director, who happens to live the same place as some of us in St. Cloud, the report was shared, and the people in St. Cloud realized the great work that was happening in Portland, Oregon. And they said, we have actually more people who need the services here in St. Cloud, Minnesota than Portland, Oregon. So why can't we have a similar branch here in St. Cloud that can help with navigating a school system, space program, advocacy for parents, and other services that the community needed at that time. Again, when the executive director came to St. Cloud, he met with a group of people that he knew back in Africa. And then they told him about what's happening in St. Cloud. It's very similar to the Portland, Oregon. And then the same group, another group here in St. Cloud, also did some survey with parents, and they realized the outcome was the same, right? Students, since they were from the same background, in the same school system, were also experiencing the same challenge. And then the community invited Cairo to come and open a branch in St. Cloud to start with educational services for our kids. And it started small, but within a few years, because of the need in the community and Cairo's ability and its experience in Portland, Oregon, and its integrity and all of that brand that was built in Oregon, it was able to connect with local funders, local partnership here in St. Cloud, and statewide agencies, including Minnesota Housing, DEED, all of these other agencies that were also willing and were aware of the disparities in terms of access, in terms of educational, and the disparities are out there. If you look at all the data from MDE, you realize the disparities. To date, we still made some progress, but the disparities still do exist. The state of Minnesota is one of the best states in terms of educational achievement for students, but that seems to be working for a section of the community and not for everyone. So to make sure every student in Minnesota is able to achieve the highest level of academics scores that they can, we realize there is need for more equity work to happen, working with parents to realize the importance of engaging with schools, attending parent conferences, having relationships with teachers, and being an advocate for their children. A lot of time, many things happen in a school, and if parents are not aware that they are the first advocate for their children would be held between a hard place and a rock. The school would be pressurizing them because of all these other factors that they do look like, and because of the bias that do exist in the US. As a parent, if they're not engaged, we would not be able to see any progress. They will always be receiving phone call from school saying, "Oh, your child was not listening well in school today." We advocate so that teachers can also call and say a positive phone call. "Hey, your son was good at school today. He completed all his assignment on time." So our work revolves around working with the stakeholders across the board, whether it's the parent, whether it is the teachers in the classroom, and whether it is the school principals and school leadership.
That's a,
Relationship.
that's interesting to know that, and thank you, Abdi. When Abdi mentioned MDE, for our audience, MDE is the Minnesota Department of Education. Just so you are aware, this is interesting. So when somebody hears the words African immigrants and refugees, they usually picture one community. But your organization serves the Somali families, the Ethiopian families, Liberian families, Nigerians, and many others. What do these families share, and where do their needs genuinely differ? Do they have the same needs or different needs?
Thank you very much. I think I would agree. Sometime, like in Minnesota, the Somali community seems to be conspicuously present. Just, I think there's a big number that's in the state. So everybody who looks like the Somali is also a Somali, right?
Right.
So I think in the eyes of many people, all of us from Africa, they see us as the same group, like African immigrants or Black people or whatever name that they're being called. So, and because we all left our home and we're all in a new place and we're all being treated the same way and we're all facing the same experiences and the same challenges. So our needs and the needs of all the families that are from Africa, I think, are very much similar. The only differences may be, in terms of family size. Some people from some countries come in as families in terms of like big family, 7 family members, 8 members, 10 members, while in other cases, a student could be coming on a student visa and they are there by themselves. So maybe the size of the family would be something that's different, but I think the challenge for everyone would be the same. And as the name suggests, Kairos mission is to serve all of those families, regardless of where they come from. If a student from Ghana needs an after-school program, our criteria for enrollment in the program is that the student is an immigrant student, like they have a disparity in their school, they are failing in their class, and they have they're below the 200% poverty guideline. That student would have equal access to a Somali student with the same barriers as the other student. So all our programs are based on predefined criteria. If you meet the criteria, then you will access the services. And for some of our programs, you don't even need to be an African person. You will access them because the state would want us to be open to everyone. So, for example, our housing program is for everyone.
Whether you are an immigrant or not, it's for everyone.
It's for everyone.
Oh,
and
that's
we
good.
serve people who are not immigrant because they came to our office, they had the challenge, they were behind on their rent, or they had an eviction notice, and we wouldn't be able to say, "You're not from Africa, you're not an immigrant, we're not going to help you." So our services are being developed in a way some of the services because of the funders requirement that we serve everyone. We can't deny them. We serve
Yeah.
everyone, but still, the biggest number of people coming and seeking services from Cairo are the African immigrant people because of the uniqueness of our cultural background,
Yeah.
and they feel more safe to come to Cairo office, walk in, and they will be welcomed by our staff, and they will have a sit down with a case manager who will listen to their case, see what they need, and if we can't meet their need in our office, we definitely refer them to other partners. We
That's
work
good.
with local counties,
Mm.
all the counties here,
Mm.
and we work with other agencies. So we know you need something. If we can't do it within Cairo, then we will refer you to the person who does.
That's
Right?
amazing. That's amazing. Giving the giving the larger population of African immigrants that live here, and the fact that you say, well, it's not just catering to African immigrants, it also anyone who qualifies, whether it's African Americans or Native American or whatever group. So I assume that you run the program in different languages because you have African immigrants who speak very different languages, like French. There might be some people from Ethiopia who speak. Do you provide services to them? Do you have interpreters to be able to deal with these people in those languages?
That's a very good question. So we have our services for everyone,
Mm.
and then we have services for very new people to the country, right?
Mm.
People who have been in the country less than 5 years.
Mm.
So what we do is we have funding from state of Minnesota, like Department of Human Services, that would pay for interpretation services because we can't staff all the languages from Africa,
Mm.
and because some countries have like less people in our community, like in central Minnesota, we can't staff people from all the 54 countries, right? So we're able to staff what we can, and then what we cannot, we just outsource interpretation services. But we have people who speak Amharic, like one of the largest languages in Africa. We have people who speak Swahili. We have people who speak Oromo, Somali, and other languages. So to just mention a few.
Mm.
So we try to cater to everyone.
Mm.
And sometimes, you know how our communities are knit together.
Mm.
So we serve like people from South Sudan, they refer themselves, and sometimes a community member will come along with them who brings
Yeah.
them to the office and who can do interpretation services. So we don't have to wait to have an interpreter on site, connect them, and all of that. So sometimes, because of the size of the community, we do not need like interpreters
Yeah.
outsourced. We just have them within the community.
Okay, that's good. Given the enormity of the work you do and the clients that receive it, different segments of the community, and even the state, that tells me some differences might be created, and it creates some friction within the organization. Does it or does it not?
I would say, within Cairo, I would say, we've been lucky to have people who are about the mission than
Mm.
anything else.
Mm.
So our staff have been flexible to address community needs outside of their scheduled hours.
Mm.
So because we are a community organization, we get phone calls at nighttime
Mm.
with youth issues happening, for local law enforcement involvement. Our staff are able to respond like 9 p.m., 11 p.m., and all of that. So I think so far we didn't have any kind of disagreement along those lines.
Mm.
So one time I would say in our front lobby, we had many flags there, but they did not contain all the 54 African countries
Okay.
because of the size of the space we had.
Okay.
So someone would come and say, "Oh, I am from Ghana, and
Yeah.
there's Ghana in here."
Mm.
And we tell them, "Why don't you bring us the flag of Ghana, and it will fit in there?" So I think we have had people from different countries coming to the office and asking questions. Some of them like, "Is this for everyone?" Like, when I hear Cairo, and knowing in St. Cloud is the highest community is the Somali speaking themselves who come from different countries. So the Somalis look alike, but they are from very many countries.
That's true.
They're not only from Somalia, but they could be from Djibouti speaking French, could be from Ethiopia speaking all the different languages they speak there, Harik, Oromo, all of that. So people come ask questions and we will always respond to them. You're very welcome. This is a space for everyone. I ask them, do you know the African Union? You heard of that? Yeah. I tell them, consider this as the African Union. You have a space here. You have ideas, opinions, you're very welcome.
That is good to know. Yeah. So let me move on to the housing program here. So it supported 144 families across central Minnesota. Last year alone, that is just 1 year. Eviction prevention, rental assistance, housing navigation. My question here is about what comes before that. So before all of this happened, like eviction prevention, rental assistance, housing, what comes before all of that? What is actually going wrong for a family before they can ever reach that door and say, hey, I'm here to get assistance for my rent. I'm here to get assistance for my, I mean, what happens? Why are they coming there for those kind of services?
Very good question. Semantics. Very good question. So, as I mentioned earlier, St. Cloud had big production companies. We had Electoral Lags. We had FDC. There were so many big companies that were hiring a lot of unskilled people. And with time, due to all these other factors, taxes, outsourcing, moving production to other places. So people get laid off. People are getting laid off from their work. And because, for you to work somewhere, there needs to be a match between skill level and available opportunities. All right. So in St. Cloud, we have few companies that are able to rent people who do not speak English. And there's more people who wants to work for those companies than the available opportunities. There would be other jobs, but people do not have the skill. The companies hiring for welders. They're hiring for all of these other opportunities in production, but that require specific skill set. So we are realizing when people get laid off, it takes them up to 6 months to find another job. And some actually move out of St. Cloud to the metro area, to other states. The same is happening. Other states are also losing production companies like Tyson. When they close a plant, people working for Tyson in the production facility do not have other skills. So they now move to another place that might have a food production company because that's the only skill they have. So as they navigate this system, it takes time for them to find the next job. But your rent does not wait for 1 month.
Yeah.
The first of every month. So when people lose their job and people don't have savings to pay their rent for the next 6 months. So what they do is they get laid off from work, and now they have no way to pay their bills. And that's how they come to Cairo. But when they come to Cairo, housing, we have a funding for housing, and the state defines the criteria for who qualifies to receive the services. So we will use the screening tool for every client that comes to the office. The thing is, the majority of our client would meet the criteria.
Okay.
Because even if they have one breadwinner, let's say, because of the big size of the family, our families are like 8 people, 9 people, 10 people, 7 people. If they have young children, 9 out of 10, maybe the mom is not working. She's staying at home to take care of the baby. It's only one breadwinner. And if you divide that by the amount of expenses that they have to take care of, vehicle payment, insurance, utility payment, housing, all of this, sometimes they run out of money. And they're like, I'm working, but I still cannot pay my bills. So the housing allows for families who are like struggling to that level. They are trying to work very hard, but they're still unable to meet their needs. we can help with that. So, and the goal is to avoid them become homeless, because
Mm.
if they don't pay their rent 2 months, no landlord is going to let them stay there
Yeah.
beyond
Yeah.
60 days.
Yeah.
Most of the leases will stipulate that. So the thing that's happening is this high rate of unemployment, specifically in our region,
Mm.
uh, because of all of those companies moving out, and not new companies coming to replace them.
Okay. So this is very interesting, and I see you mentioned the criteria for those. So there's a criteria for those who qualify to come in. So, um, are there people who have never come to you, have never come to your program, your organization to seek help? If yes, should they come?
So yes, so if anybody meets the program requirement for all of our services,
Mm.
they are very welcome to
Mm.
come and receive services. If there's someone who feels they're not welcome, uh, we are there to talk to them. They can come to our office and ask to speak with leadership, like myself. We have other, other leaders within the agencies that can listen to the concern. But we've never had anybody, feeling unwelcome.
Mm.
But what we do realize is some people not aware of the services.
Yeah.
Sometimes we become aware of a family being evicted last minute,
Mm.
like they have an actual eviction,
Mm.
and we
Yeah.
ask them, "Hey, what happened? Why did you not seek support when you had time?"
Yeah.
But the thing is, for some of the people, some of them are going through a mental health crisis.
Mm.
Some people have medical condition. They have been admitted in hospital for like a month, 2 months, and they are not able to go back to work. So there's a lot of factors that would
Mm.
make someone unable
Not
to
to-
pay their rent.
Yeah.
And it's person specific. We do not judge. We have had people, being admitted to the hospital for 2 months and now they have eviction. We have helped them with paying the rent and taking care of all of those. So our staff are dedicated. We open every day, Monday to Friday, 9 a.m. to 5:30. They would always have someone to speak to about any issues. And other than the issues we're funded for,
Mm.
community members come in for other social services that Cairo is not funded for, because
Mm.
it's the only option they have. When a
Okay.
community member has language barrier,
Mm.
culture, all of these other barriers that they can't seek services in another space, the only space they have is Cairo. And
Mm.
with that understanding, we try very much to welcome everybody and
Mm.
to not discriminate or to just wholeheartedly accept them for who they are.
Mm.
If they're going through mental health breakdown, we've had clients who are like very angry,
Mm.
yelling, all of that, say, "Oh, I'm not getting help," and all of that. But we do understand sometimes when people have mental health issues, they might be aggressive. So we don't judge them. We talk to them politely and see how we can help them, or what went wrong, or can we fix. And we have like dedicated staff who are trained on caring for people with mental health and trauma.
That is really good to know. Well, ladies and gentlemen, if you're just joining us, people of African descent, people living in Africa, if you're just joining the show, this is the Africa Desk Live, and this is episode 15 of 54 Conversations, where we are in the second hour of the show today, and we are in conversation with our guest, Abdi Ibrahim. He's the Director of Programs at the Center for African Immigrants and Refugees organization known as Cairo for short. That's where we are today. If you are having concerns, you have concerns about rental assistance, housing issues, you can reach out to Abdi and his team. We will get to that later, and we'll share their contacts with you at the end of the show here. But Abdi, you have acquired 3.7 acres of land in St. Cloud for affordable workforce housing. You built the large working families, built for large working families. I must add here. That is a very serious step for an organization of your size. My question is, why build rather than just keep helping families navigate the housing that already exists? There are some houses that are there that you could use for these people to occupy, but instead you went and build. Why build?
Very good question. So St. Cloud is a college town. It was designed for students going to college. If you look at the four-bedroom, most of the four bedrooms in St. Cloud, they're so tiny, they're very
Mm,
small. They just, by the name, they're like four-bedroom, but they would be like 1,300 square feet, right?
mm,
So we realized that because our community, it has large family members,
mm,
intergenerational, sometime a grandmother may be living with her son, his wife, and the kids. So we realize the housing stock that's available in town today does not meet the needs of our community
mm,
in terms of size, in terms of family oriented. So we wanted to build a four-bedroom house that is family size, right? That has a big living room, that has a more decent sized bedrooms. Like I mentioned, most of the four bedrooms in St. Cloud, they're like very small bedrooms meant for
mm.
students going to college. So
Yeah.
since we wanted our families to feel home, make St. Cloud their home, we wanted to be part of the solution and be a leader in that kind of housing model. So Cairo acquired, it used to be a Wells Fargo building,
Mm,
and Cairo purchased that in 2023 with the goal of building bigger size bedrooms, and we want to live through to that mission. The It's not built now.
mm.
I just want to be clear. We're
Okay.
using this space as an office now.
Okay.
We're just waiting for the right moment. Looks like
Okay.
the current state, the state of Minnesota right now is kind of wild, and
Yeah.
so many skepticism and all of that.
Yeah.
So we wanted to like do it the right time.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense. And thanks for clarifying that it's not been built yet. It will be built, but based on what is currently unfolding across the state of Minnesota, I might add even nationally with our national politics. There's a lot going on here, so we'll leave that like that.
Semantics, I'm gonna add one thing to that.
Yeah, go
So
ahead.
a little bit about that. So
Mm,
it's called Phelan Village.
okay.
So it's not going to be only a housing structure.
Oh.
It's going to be a mixed use building. We
Mm,
already secured the permit from City of St. Cloud.
mm,
So it's going to house our Cairo offices. Right now we are in a rented space in Midtown Mall, St.
okay.
Cloud.
Okay.
So once that's built, Cairo will have offices there. We'll also have a couple of spaces for retail and small business for the community. And then the majority of it would be housing. So it's going to be a mixed use facility that will have small businesses, restaurant, coffee shop, offices like Cairo, and housing. So people can enjoy a couple things in the same space.
That's good. That's good to know, and thank you for that addition. Now, sorry, your space program, schools, parents, and communities engaged serve more than 120 students. And again, if I'm wrong there, correct me. And it did this across every middle school and high school in St. Cloud District. What does a student get from that program that they were not getting elsewhere before getting to the program?
Thank you. So our SPACE program,
Mm,
SPACE stands for Schools, Parents, and Communities Engaged.
mhm.
We run an after school program in two schools. So one middle school and one high school. So in that program, we have tutors and licensed teachers and mentors who work with the students one on one. So a student receive tailored tutoring to their needs one on one. They get socio emotional well being. They get mentorship, and they get to work with our staff who are there for them. We provide transportation from the school to their home. We provide dinner for all the students and snack. We also have field trips every other Friday where students get to go to fun places. So we enroll students who are low on their grade, like they might have an F or a C, and we encourage them to work very hard, submit all assignment, and if you like do all of that, we'll have fun time with the staff. So they go to different places, and sometimes they choose the places. They go to the skating place, the YMCA, all these other fun places where they get to play games with their friends. They get to have food. They get to have all of that fun things, and that's dependent on them excelling in their school. So this is one fun fact. One time, we were working in one of the schools, the South Junior to be specific. So one of our space agent at that time told me, like she was working with a student, and the student like had F and they had low grade. She told them, if you don't uplift your grades, next Friday all the students are going for field trip. You will not go if you don't do that. So this student went home, and right away he started working. It was she. She started working on her homework.
Wow.
The mom called our staff and said, "Hey, what's going on? So and so just came out of the school bus and they're just working on the assignment. What did you guys tell her?" Because the mom was like, "I don't know what's happening. This is not my kid. Like, I had trouble asking them to do their homework. But now, without being prompted to do that, they are doing this on their own. And
Wow.
here's the reason why. So our space program works with the students on their identified goals. We ask them upon enrollment, what do you want to work on? Which subject are you struggling? Which subject do you want to, all of that. So I think before we go off the show, I wanted to share one thing. So we have an upcoming 10th year anniversary
Yes.
gala in Wade Park, Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
So this will be our 10th year of Cairo offering services to families in Oregon and Minnesota. So it's a celebration time for all of us, and we have a website for that. It's called Rooted and Rising 2026 Seeds of Synergy Gala. It's going to happen Friday, October 9, 2026 at the Park Event Center in Wade Park. So there's a specific website. If you go to the website, you can register as an individual to attend, or as a sponsor, as a business. If you have a business and you want to support the work that we do, which we can share with you more in detail, we would encourage all community members, all agencies, all business owners to support the work that Cairo does and join us on Friday, October 9, 2026. You can look at the information we shared before, the pictures from the photos from last year's gala. It's a very beautiful event, and it will be a great evening for all of us to come together, enjoy the work that Cairo does firsthand, and get to meet your neighbors and people in your community.
Yeah, and thank you. We, for our audience, we are displaying that information on the screen now. Yes, they will be celebrating 10 years anniversary Seeds of Synergy Gala, and the date is there, October 9th. The venue is there, the Park Event Center, Wood Park in Minnesota. The tickets site is there, cairomngala.org. That's the site there that they can register on. So we will also post this on our site so that people can go there and go and find out more so that they can register for those of them who want to attend. And thank you for the great job you guys are doing there. So I'm going to come back a little bit and maybe widen out because we've looked at St. Cloud, particularly here. Your work basically is centered in St. Cloud, in Minneapolis, and Faribault. I think those are two different places. Those are very different places. Does the work look the same in each of the places you operate in, or is it the same? I mean, is it different? Because you have people living in St. Cloud that might have a different need. You have people living in Minneapolis that might have a different need, and in a different city. How is that?
Very good question. So our work is kind of a little bit different in all of those three locations. So Cairo has 4 portfolios: educational services, health equity, workforce development, and housing. So, because of our funding criteria, and the funders' requirement, some of those activities may only happen in one office and not in other places.
Okay.
Because for us, we consider our integrity
Mm.
uh, and you know doing the right way. So, like for our housing, our funding is limited to St. Cloud only,
Okay.
because the state of Minnesota offers this funding to so many other agencies, over
Okay.
20 to 20 administrators in the state.
Mm.
So they want every administrator to cover a specific region.
Okay.
But Cairo was selected to just cover central Minnesota. So
Got it.
just this year. But
Mm.
before, we used to do in all of our offices.
Got it. So if somebody is living in Brooklyn Park and Brooklyn Center and Maple Grove and they are not covered, they have to be in uh, St. Cloud.
Yes, but if they call our office, we will refer them to the right person, to the
Okay.
right administrator in their community. So
Ah,
as
got it.
Cairo, we have access to all the administrators of the
Okay.
housing program.
Mm.
And if someone calls us from Farabot and says, I need housing rental help, we'll connect them to that company that does that.
Mm.
And before we move out of these programs, I also want to add, so for our workforce
Mm.
development, what we do is workforce training
Mm.
and also employment. So
Okay.
every year we host a job fair in July. This year we hosted our job fair July 22nd, and we had 18 employers registered to attend,
Oh, wow.
and 98 job seekers attended.
Wow.
So we had, beautiful event, and some of those people got hired by
Mm.
different companies. So we have employers that also let us know when they have openings, because I mentioned to you earlier, we have people coming into the office. Majority of those people are looking for employment opportunities.
Yeah. Yeah.
And now, because of our work, we've able to connect with the different employers. Like, we call the HR, conduct a meeting, get to know them, identify the hiring priorities, see if the people visiting our office have the skill set for that. And if they do, then we work with those employers to help the client with application, resume building, interview, all of that, mock interview. And so some of the employers we have worked with are like Corbon's, is a
Mm.
retail store, Holiday Inn is a hotel,
Mm.
housekeepers, and all of that. Like different production companies
Mm.
have used Cairo services, and we do not charge any money for all of those services, because we want to make sure our community members are able to get the jobs that they need.
Mm.
And we also funded by the state, different state agencies. We also do fundraising, like when we have the gala, we raise
Mm.
money, and all of this money is used to support the client. So we do not,
Yes.
it's a no cost to the employer
Hmm.
for them to get help from Cairo in terms of screening, client helping with application, other paperwork, and all of that, interpretation services as well.
That's good. Thank you. So let me, and I know we almost we got 5 more minutes, 6 more minutes for us to let you go, and this is, we really appreciate this. So if you are watching the show live, or if you be watching the show later, or if you follow our page and you live in St. Cloud and you are an African American, you are an African immigrant, you are Native American, or anyone who needs housing assistance, please reach out to Abdi and his team. We will put the contact on the screen later on here. So they're doing an amazing work there. Abdi, this question has two parts, and I want you to look at the two parts individually here. Take them in which order you want. If you want to start with the first, you start with the first. You want to start the second, you can go ahead. I might have follow up there. What does Minnesota get wrong about its African communities? There is a lot going on, especially right now. And this show, let me first say this, that it's not about politics. We do not discuss politics in the second hour. We discuss it in the first hour. But there is a seeming perception or assumption that some people get about African immigrant and the African community. what is it that they get wrong about us? The second part of the question is, and what does it get right that nobody ever remarks on? What is it that the Minnesota community in general get wrongs about African immigrants, and what is it that they get right and nobody's talking about it?
I think the majority of the people in Minnesota are good neighbors. They're
Mm,
good people. It's called Minnesota Nice.
mm,
So I think what they get right is to, accept us for who we are.
mhm,
So most of us are an integral members of the Minnesota community. We are part of the fabric, like we're involved in every sector of the community. Our African immigrant folks work in healthcare, senior aging, hospital system, all of that. We work in transportation industry, truck drivers, Uber, Lyft, restaurant, so manufacturing, production. So our immigrant workforce has helped address shortage in Minnesota workforce. So people respect us for being able to find a job and work very hard and all of that. I think what they don't get right is lumping all of us together.
mm,
I wouldn't say this is everyone,
mm.
but some Minnesotans do not know the distinction between me and you,
Yeah.
distinction between me and someone else who is also Somali.
Hmm.
So I think they have like a narrow view of us.
Mm,
If like they find a Somali person who's a bad driver,
mm.
then they would say, "Oh, all these immigrant people are bad
Bad.
drivers." I've seen that. So I've seen a lot of like labeling, a lot of bias, specifically in the last 2 years, and I think that's not fair.
Mm,
There is a lot of us who are doing great work, law-abiding citizen, working very hard every day, every night. African immigrants are picking up shifts that are very hard. There's a lot of us who are doing overnight shifts, who are doing like production companies that would not hire, or other people would not want to work there. So it's only immigrant people who have no choice who are working there.
mm,
So I think the issue of just lumping us into one is one thing they get wrong.
mm,
And then assuming that we are also all the same. There's
mm.
a bad apple in every community.
Yeah.
There are criminals in every community.
Yeah.
I just like, I just understand what white privilege means.
Mm,
What white privilege means is every white people is their own.
mm,
They will never be put into a lamb, or they will never be judged for the work or the evil deed of another person.
mm.
If a white person commits a crime today, nobody goes to other white people and say, "Oh, you should report, criminals in your community."
Yeah.
How do I know criminals in my community? I'm
Mm.
not the law enforcement agencies.
Right.
And I think I would also say, with all that's happening, I think the state of Minnesota
Mm,
has also lost there,
mm.
because the state institutions have a responsibility to do oversight.
Yeah.
You don't wait until it's too late to just find so many things went wrong and
Mm.
you're like, what can we do? Or these people did this and that. No, you let them do this.
Yeah.
And you also need to take, responsibility for that.
Mm,
For me, I would suggest that we do accountability across the board at
mhm.
every level, at individual, agency level, and state level. And we, as Minnesotans, the African immigrants, we're here to stay, uh, because we love Minnesota. We want to make this our home. We want to be respectful neighbors. We want to be hardworking people. We want to be law-abiding citizens. We want to be very welcoming people,
Yeah.
and that's on us. We expect the same from other people.
Wow, that is so powerful, Abdi. I got two more questions for you, and then we'll let you go. The final one, and I'm going to put the thing on the screen there before I let you go here. If somebody is watching you now, we have people who are watching live, or they will be watching you later. If a family is watching that need help, what should they do on Monday morning? Today is Saturday, tomorrow Sunday. Monday morning, where do they go, and who do they ask for if I mean, and if somebody wants to support the work, what is the most useful thing they need to do right now?
So Monday morning would be a typical day at Cairo, anywhere in our offices in the state of Minnesota. So our offices are open 9 a.m. If a family needs any of our services, they can always walk into our office. They do not need to set up an appointment. They walk in and they ask to speak with a case manager, and someone will sit down with them in a private space, listen to their concern, their challenge, and see how Cairo can help. If you want to support the work we do, we have our website, cairomn.org, that highlights the work we do. If you want to support and sponsor our upcoming gala, we have a separate website for that, cairomn.gala.org. You can also look at that website. You can register as an individual to just enjoy the event and come to learn about the work Cairo does. We would have all of our partners, community members there. If you are a business owner, whatever contributions you make to Cairo, just so you know, is a tax deductible. That's going to help you save money as well with your IRS tax filing. So we would encourage African folks who own business to support the work Cairo does, and sponsor our upcoming gala. If you want to get to know more information, you can look at the phone numbers on the screen,
Yeah.
320-281-3232.
Yeah, and just to confirm that, thank you. It's on the screen there for those of you who are watching. The Sinclair office listed. It is listed publicly at 3333. That's 333 West Division Street, Suite 114, St. Cloud, Minnesota 55301. The website is listed as CairoMN. That's CAIROMN.org. Both come from publicly available information, public directory, so you can check them out. And before I let you go, Abdi, if there is anything you have in mind that I have not asked you about, but you want our audience to know, you want the greater Minnesota public, Minnesota public to know, you want the African immigrant community to know, you want the continent of Africa to know, please go ahead. The platform is yours. I give you the opportunity to go ahead and say what is it that you want us to know, you want the audience to know.
I want to take this opportunity to thank all of the people from various African countries who were able to visit our office, get to meet our staff, get to know the work we do, and have supported us along the way. Thank you to all of them. Thank you to also our funders, whether they state or foundation. I can't mention them all here. I think they would be on our website. But I just want to say thank you to all the collaborators, collaborative funding we've received from different state agencies, different foundations, different small businesses over the years that has let us keep our doors open to serve our community members. We would like to keep this work going on. If you have any suggestions, if you have any ideas, if you have a feedback for us on how we're doing, please feel free to talk to us. Our numbers are available. Our information is publicly available on our website. And you can always ask to speak with a specific person. For all of our staff, if you look at our website, semantics, if you want to show that,
Mm-hmm.
on our website, we have our team members,
Yeah.
and you can see all of our team members there. If you want to speak with me as the director of programs, if you want to speak with Abdulkadir Bashir, who is our executive director, or any of our program managers, feel free to ask for them when you call in the office number. Our office number will be received by a receptionist. You can ask to speak with so and so, and that they will make sure to connect you to that person.
Yeah, while you were speaking, I wanted to quickly log in. So let me, I did not do that. Let me see if I can share my screen here quickly for the audience to see. This is Cairo's website. Um, do you see my screen, Abdi?
Not yet. I see yourself.
You see myself. Okay. Let me see here. I need to. Okay, there you go. Do you see it?
Yep, I
Yes.
see that.
So this is the website. This is the, you can see all the people that are working there. They have an amazing, really diverse board of directors. You can see all their names there, their contacts, and then the staff. You can see our man Abdi right there. He's the director of programs, and then the executive director is there with his team. That's him right here. He's the executive director. And so this is the full team at your service here. If you need help, if you need to talk to anyone here, reach out. Just go on their website and then you can reach out. That's their address. The phone number is there. The email address is there. The address in Minneapolis is there, in St. Cloud. So reach out to them and then they will be able to help you as much as they can. So thank you, Abdi. I think that was your closing remark, unless you have something else to say. We'd like to say thank you to you for being with us. Abdi Ibrahim is the Director of Programs at the Center for African Immigrants and Refugees Organization. Thank you for giving us this hour, and please have a good rest of your day.
Thank you so much. My pleasure.
Okay, take care. Bye. Okay, folks. So that was the second hour. And that was episode 15 of 54 Conversations. The first hour was Burkina Faso. The second hour was St. Cloud. I would argue those 2 hours belong in the same program. And that is the whole idea behind this show. If we got a fact wrong today, tell us. We correct it on air the following week and we write the corrections down so that we can feature those in our newsletter that goes out every month. That is an arrangement here, and it does not change. The full episode is going to stay on YouTube for some of you who want to see a replay or recorded versions, and it's also going to be on Facebook. The only issue here is that after 30 days, Facebook is going to delete the live version of this, but we will upload the replay, so don't worry about that. And it's also going to be on X, formerly known as Twitter. So you still have access to us. You're going to see that. And then also, if you do not want to be able to go to this site to watch them, you can go to our website. We have our site. It's called moremediaempowerment.org. moremediaempowerment.org. That is our website, and it was just recently launched. We're still improving it, but we have a website. If you want to know more about what More does as an organization, you can visit our site at www.moremediaempowerment.org. That is our website, and we will archive all these recordings on the site so that you can watch them from the first episode all the way to the last episode. That's where we're going to be. Those things are going to be on the site there. Next week is going to be episode 16. Oh, yes, it's going to be episode 16. And we are going to go to the Democratic Republic of the Congo, and we will be live in the DRC. Unlike today, during the first hour where we did not have a guest, next week, Saturday, we will have a guest live joining us from DR Congo. And we are hoping we will also have a second guest who will be joining us live from Paris, France. Okay? More than 100 million people are in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. It's a huge country. It has a huge population. It's a country that is the size of Western Europe. And what sits under its ground, you may be interested to hear this, what sits under the ground of the Democratic Republic of the Congo is in the cell phone in your hand right now. If you have a cell phone, whether it's Android or iPhone or whatever model you have, the things that are sitting underneath the Democratic Republic of the Congo is what they use to develop and manufacture, and maybe portions of it that is in your hand as a cell phone. That is how rich the Democratic Republic of the Congo is. We are going to talk about the East, about what a war economy does to the people living inside the country, and about the Congolese who are doing something about it. Our first hour comes to you from France, like I mentioned, but it is going to be through an interpreter, okay? Which is going to be the first time we have it on this program. We are going to have the program live in French with an interpreter. The reason is that we do not want to isolate our francophone brothers and sisters. We've realized that for the past weeks, we have discussed francophone Africa and francophone West Africa. We had experienced lots of challenges, mostly burial along language lines, right? And we discovered that we can still have the francophone Africa to be involved on the discussion. Even though this is an English program, we run the program in English, we can still run the program in French. So it's going to be our first time ever having the show in French through an interpreter. So we will be live in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. We later on discovered that this probably was the contributing factor because most of the countries we discuss Ivory Coast, we discuss Mali, we discuss um, 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 today is Burkina Faso. Okay, we have had some challenges as it relates to to language, and we realized that there's a way out. They are our African brothers and sisters. You know, we can find a way out. So we will be live next week, Saturday, in the Democratic Republic of the Congo, as well as in France. One of our guests, who is a Congolese activist or scholar, is going to be joining us from France. So that is going to be next week, Saturday. If this program means anything to you, if it is informing you, if it is educating you, if it is doing anything important to you as an individual, please tell your friend, tell your coworkers about this show. Share the show to your friends and your coworkers. We have our site. Our goal here is not necessarily chasing followers for the sake of followers. No, that's not our goal. Our goal is to be able to educate an African citizen who is sitting somewhere in Cairo, somewhere in Burkina Faso, like today, or somewhere across the northern hemisphere. We want them to be informed and educated about what is happening on the continent and among the diaspora Africans across the world. That is the goal. So please tell others about the show. Tell them about More. More is the media organization for representation and empowerment. It is responsible for this broadcast. We do this every Saturday. And again, we do not charge the guests to come on the show. We do not pay them either. That's the beauty of it. That is why we are independent. So no one comes on the show because we pay them or they pay us to come to the show. Like Abdi, who just left, is free, but you can contribute to make the show better. When you go to our website, I am going to, in fact, share the screen of my website right now, of our website. Let me share it with you so that you know where we are quickly here. Share the screen, yes. Um, this is our show. You can see. Let's see. You can see that yet. Let me put it on the screen there, so you can see that's our show. See, we were live, and it wasn't our show. I mean, it was on our website rather. We were live with Abdi, and while being live with him, it was on our website. This is the website. You can see the show here. You're watching it live on our website. So all previous episodes are here. If you miss it, you do not have to be on Facebook or YouTube. You can come here. You can see donate. You can come and click on donate and be able to support the work that we do. Okay. We have the fellowship programs as well that's going to be coming up. This is more. Okay, and this is what we do. You can see the countries we have covered. Of the 54 conversations, we've covered 12. If you add today's country there, which is Burkina Faso, that makes it 13. All these other colors you see, countries you see in purple, these are countries that are upcoming. We're going to be featuring these countries coming up, So that's our website. This is what we do as an organization. If it is something you really enjoy watching us, you enjoy being educated and being informed about what is happening on the continent of Africa, tell someone about this show. Direct them to our website. Tell them, okay? Every Saturday we're here, same time at 10 a.m. to 12 o'clock. September the 5th, we will be here with the Democratic Republic of the Congo, and we will go live to Kinshasa and in Paris. Until then, please take care of yourself, and please have a good rest of your week and the week. Please have a good rest of your weekend and the week. And we'll see you next week, Saturday, September 5th, right here, discussing the Democratic Republic of the Congo. Take care of yourself, and we love you all. For those of you living on the continent of Africa, we love you. And those here in the diaspora, we also love you and care about you. Thank you so much. Have a great weekend.
That's the Africa Desk Live with Sematix King Jr. Thank you for watching. Subscribe, follow, or share this with someone who needs to hear it. And join us next week. Same time, same desk. Until then, keep the African heart beating.